Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Backyard Vegetable Gardening Channel. Today is December the 19th, 2023. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to talk about some more things we could be doing when it's cold and can't be out in the garden. Got to thinking, one of the best things that ever happened was me buying this book. It's called The Square Foot Garden. It's called Square Foot Gardening by Mel Bartholomew. And it was a really good experience for me. Up until that point, every garden I grew wasn't very successful. Things grew, things died, but didn't have a lot of fruit. And we bought this little book here, and it showed us a new method. You know, I wasn't raised with a agricultural or a horticultural background, and neither was my wife, but you know, some folks in our family were farmers. Everybody around us when we were kids, all our grandparents, some of our aunts, uncles, cousins, they had gardens, and we would go out there and maybe do a little bit, you know, weeding here and there, prime tobacco, something like that. But as far as growing a garden, we never grew a garden. So we got this book, and it taught us some things that we didn't know. And number one thing was the right soil mixture for these raised beds. And I won't spoil it for you, but you know, around here where we live in North Carolina, there's a lot of clay in the soil. Now, where I live specifically, we have good soil right here. People in my community say, wow, you got great soil, good dark soil. Sure do. A lot of folks got red clay. In fact, where my son-in-law and my daughter live, boy, that is some of the hardest red clay. It is just extremely hard. But we bought this book. It worked really good for us. It was cheap. It's not a big book. It's got a lot of information in there about seed starting, spacing, garden design. It's well worth it. If you're thinking about getting into gardening or maybe just raised bed gardening, Square Foot Gardening by Mel Bartholomew. And got to thinking about if I had to pick just three. Well, that would have been the top of the list, but I found another one. This one's from the Old Farmer's Almanac, and it's just simply called The Vegetable Gardener's Handbook. And what I liked about this one is it had more specific information about the particular crop variety. And now this didn't go into a lot of specifics because, you know, we live in the day and age where there is thousands of different varieties of tomato plants all by themselves, not counting everything else. But this is still one of my go-tos. It lets you know what you can plant with the, well, we would call it companion planting. This is not a book on companion planting. We have one of those. It's a good book. I think it's called, I can't even remember, something loves carrots. Tomatoes loves carrots or something like that. But the Old Farmer's Almanac Vegetable Gardener's Handbook. Great resource. And then to round out the top three, we have the Organic Gardener's Handbook of Natural Pest and Disease Control. It says it's a complete guide to maintaining a healthy garden and yard the earth-friendly way. And this book is edited by a bunch of people, but it was put out, it says a Rodale Organic Gardening book. All of these books are fairly inexpensive. This one might have been the most expensive one. We ordered it off Amazon. I do remember that. It says it was $27 US, but it has a wealth of information in it. I'm not strictly an organic gardener, but when it comes to pesticides, the last thing that I want to put on my food, well, the food that me and my family is going to consume is a toxin that remains there. And I don't want you to misunderstand. A toxin is a toxin, whether it's synthetic or whether it's organic or natural. And that's another thing you got to watch. Just because you buy something that says natural or organic, some of them even say natural and organic. That doesn't mean what you think it does sometimes. But we do like to use the least impactful and the least toxic to human substances as far as pesticides go and herbicides and anything like that. Like with our weed spraying, we tend to do a mixture of vinegar, real strong vinegar, and salt in certain areas with a little dish soap and Epsom salt, and that does really, really good. Do caution you though, if you do that, if you research that and you don't think it through, if you put salt in that thing, wherever you spray it, it's going to die. Back in the Old Testament economy, you can read in your Bible that when people would take over a place, if they really want to do that place hurt, they would salt the earth and stuff wouldn't grow there for a long, long time. Now, it takes a lot of salt to do that, but just giving you a simple bit of advice there. Don't load the salt in anywhere that you might be growing something, whether it's a flower, grass, whatever, it won't come up too good. But it's a really, really handy book. And since it was going to be such a short video, I figured I would put some bonus in here. One of the little things that will help you spend your time during the winter is little bitty publications like this right here. This is the first one we got this season. I was hoping to get it a long time ago, but we just got it a couple days ago. Of course, it's a seed catalog. There's plenty of them out there. This one is from Baker Creek. We've actually never ordered from Baker Creek. As far as I can remember, we've ordered from Johnny's and several other places like that. Hoss Tools. But we've always been interested in this company. We like what they're doing. They offer some great varieties, and if you're like me, when I was a kid, we had the mail order catalog, and the Sunday paper was full of ads, and we were poor growing up. So us kids, I guess you could say it was lust and covet. It was a sin, made us very discontent, so to speak. But when we get these, it's kind of similar to that. Don't really have the same issues about begging and desiring to have things. Seeds are cheap, folks. Now there's some rare varieties out there that you can get, and if you go to the seed swapping events, that's a good deal. But seeds are cheap. I'll give you a good example. We grow 2 rows of green beans every year, 20-foot rows, nothing large, spectacular. But for $6 of seeds, we harvested and preserved 84 quart jars full of those good beans. Now, that's not counting what we ate during the season. One of the little grandbabies, that is her favorite thing in the world, is to go out there in the garden with Papa and pick those green beans, and she will eat to her heart's content. She's just a joy to be with out there. I have to watch her when we're harvesting to eat, because sometimes she'll eat more, she'll eat too much, and we won't have a good mess for supper. But an extra bonus for you. We'll do more about this in another video, but thinking about getting your garden growing, the little tool like this is called Clyde's Garden Planner. And if I got the story right, supposedly an engineer by trade developed an interest in gardening, and like many of us do, he had a little sheet, and today we would call it a spreadsheet, and he would put down, this is what I'm growing, and this is when I need to start it indoors, this is when I need to transplant outdoors, this is when I should be able to get my first harvest, and so forth. And he was nice enough to put it in a nice little bitty chart. If you're familiar with the slide rule, it's just that simple. You got your last frost date up at the top here, and you just slide that thing, put the red line, and it gives you a good baseline. Now, would I depend on that with my life? No, I wouldn't. But for me, it was a tremendous help when I got started, not knowing when to plant stuff. And even today, we're fairly new to gardening. We've been gardening probably 4, maybe 5 years. I don't really remember, but I do know that it's hard to keep track. If you was a professional and this is what you did, I'm sure it would you would retain that information much easier. But you work a job, you got family, you got ministry, whatever. It's a lot to keep hold of. So I still have the spreadsheet, but boy, I sure do like this little Clyde's Garden Planner. I think it was $7 on Amazon. Well worth the $7, I can tell you that. Well, short video today. do hope it was a help and a blessing to you. Pick you up some of them books. Don't sit indoors and get the mully grubs. It's pretty cold where I'm at today. It was snowing around here last night, sleeting. We didn't get no accumulation, not even hardly a flurry where we're at. But just down the road, they had both. And, you know, you can't get outside and do anything. It's just not profitable. Plus, you just don't like being out in the cold to start with, unless you're one of them folks that's strange. I know some of my friends are strange. They like that cold weather. They'll go out there and snowmobile and all that. The older I get, the more I like the fire. The more I like to sit in and just kick my feet up and have to go out there and do enough chores. I don't want to go out there and pretend to be having fun in it. But, you know, you get you some good books to read that'll profit you, not a bunch of time wasters, especially when it comes to growing your garden. If you're starting out, there's a lot of good information that you need to know up front, and if you learn that up front, boy, you can have some good harvest in the future. It'll prevent a lot of the mistakes that will cause you issues, you know, knowing how to deal with pests, and because identifying what kind of pest or disease is on your plant, that's a challenge. The bugs especially. The bugs, there's so many bugs where I live in the summer. It gets hot and humid. I think just new varieties emerge. I don't know. But you get you a few good books and it'll help you. You know, folks, the internet might not always be there. Now, we don't have any idea that it's going anywhere anytime soon, but you know, the fact of the matter is we live in a world where we depend on things like the internet and these videos like we're making here, like you're watching. And the simple truth about all that is they can't cut a book off, you know. The power goes out, you still got a book. You're traveling down the road and you're away from people, you know, good quiet time. You don't need to turn on the internet anyway. You need just to sit down and be still. That's one of the things that the Lord teaches us about life, is the importance of just learning to be still. And a lot of times a good book will help you be still. But if you're like me, I'm not really a fan of reading. I have no issues whatsoever reading my Bible every day. I enjoy it. I look forward to it. I probably read it at a minimum. I know I read it twice a day, sometimes more than that. But that's really the only book I enjoy reading. I don't enjoy reading a lot of other books, but these are two that I enjoyed reading, and this one about the pests, I can't say I enjoyed reading it, but it was very useful. Glad I did it, glad to have it, and I hope that you'll add them to your collection. They'll be a blessing to you. Well, folks, I'm going to cut it short today. It's my pleasure to be with you. Always a joy. Hope you're having a great day. See you soon.